this topic, we are going to talk about impacted tooth. Now, any tooth can get impacted. So, what is an impaction, right? So, it's a very simple definition. You don't need to repeat it word by word. But a tooth which is completely or partially, so completely or partially unerupted, or is positioned against another tooth, bone, soft tissue, such that its further eruption is unlikely. So, it should be unerupted before its chronological age, and it should be partially or totally blocked by tooth, bone, soft tissue, and further eruption cannot happen. Only when that is a situation, you call that as an impaction. Simple, right? It's more of a descriptive one, but if you can understand that, that's good enough. Any tooth can get impacted, but obviously mandibular third molars tops the chart, right, by a huge margin. Somehow maxillary third molars erupt, but they are second on the list. Maxillary cuspids, then mandibular bicuspids, premolars I am talking about, usually the second premolar. Then you talk about the mandibular bicuspids, maxillary bicuspids, maxillary central incisor, maxillary lateral incisor, right? So, any of these teeth can get impacted, but as we say, like maxillary lateral incisor getting impacted is much rarer than a maxillary central incisor getting impacted. Obviously, the commonest one is the mandibular third molar impaction. So, when we talk about impaction, more often than not, we talk mostly about the mandibular wisdom tooth, but maxillary canine is another big kettle in this particular area, right? Maxillary cuspids can be totally impacted as well, can become a pretty troublesome customer. Why would a tooth get impacted? Now, position and pressure of the adjacent tooth, density of bone, lack of space, it can be obstructions in its natural pathway. That could be a dilaceration or a bend on the root. Retained deciduous tooth, for some reason the deciduous tooth just refused to dislodge. Ectopic position of the tooth part. We in fact in one of the other lectures we talked about presence of an odontome. Any obstruction which is there can make this an eruption or the eruption of your permanent tooth into a problem. Okay, these are local causes. There can be some systemic causes also, particularly heredity causes, interferes development postnatally, rickets anemia, syphilis. Fortunately, this is something which we rarely see nowadays. Tuberculosis, endocrine dysfunction, malnutrition. There might be many causes where there are multiple impacted teeth. Very rarely, there used to be a particular condition called a cleidocranial dysostosis, right? So, multiple impactions, the child can literally bring the shoulders together, cleidocranial dysostosis, oxycephaly, clefts, osteopetrosis, progeria, which means like premature aging, right? Quite a few things can happen. Now, what do you mean by a pericoronitis? A pericoronitis over an impacted tooth, which is we are unlikely to see a completely unerupted tooth getting pericoronitis. Normally you will need to see a partially or just about erupting wisdom tooth or any other tooth for that matter to have an inflammation around it, because as long as there is a full covering of a bone and a mucosa, very unlikely that it will get infected. So, you can get a pericoronitis in a partially erupted tooth. What are the causes? Obviously, bacterial ingress, because if you are talking about the partially erupted one, the gum and the tooth in between, you can get ingress. And the trauma over the soft tissue can be opposing teeth, it can be from the masticatory forces, can be because of brush, could be anything, right? Those things can cause trauma there. What are the signs, the cardinal signs you are going to see? More often than not, see, as I said, when we talk about impactions, more often than not, we define about the lower mandibular wisdom tooth, right? So, trismus is a classical sign, patients finding it difficult to open the mouth. So, trismus, chills, fever, regional lymph nodes, these might be some signs of it. So, how do we manage a pericoronitis when it happens, right? You can actually just cut the flap open. So, remove that flap of tissue which is covering that impacted tooth, or remove the tooth itself. Removing the flap might give you a temporary respite, but more often than not, if the tooth is not going to erupt, so if it is a soft tissue impaction, For some reason, it was a very fibrous overlying soft tissue. You remove that one, the tooth might erupt into position. But more often than not, there is no space for the bone to erupt, and that's why it stopped erupting and the tissue had grown over it. So you remove the tissue, the tooth is still not going to erupt into the functional occlusion, the tissue will grow back again. So you are probably just postponing the inevitable. So a pericoronal flap excision is done when the tooth is almost into the functional occlusion, and by you performing a pericoronal flap excision can bring the tooth back into function. Only then that procedure is worth it. If not, better to consider a surgical removal of a tooth.